Thank you very much, Minister, I respectfully ask if you will address the crisis and the shortage of funding to deal with the provision of services by Kerry parents and friends as Section 39 workers who are struggling to continue to provide necessary services for children and adults with intellectual disabilities. They do very specialised work, challenging work, operating to the highest standards. And on top of everything else, they haven't been paid the COVID bonus payment of €1,000.
Margaret Tara.
Thank you, Deputy, and can I join Deputy Healy-Rae in acknowledging the extraordinary work that Kerry Parents and Friends Association provide. They provide critical services to adults with intellectual disabilities in the Deputy's constituency, including day services, residential services, respite and outreach services. I'm advised that the association has identified funding challenges to the HSC due to the changing service user needs, specifically additional home supports that they're providing. I understand that the association is currently facing issues in fundraising as well to supplement the current HSC funding. It is relevant to say that the HSC, or the state, the government, currently funds the association to the tune of €13.6 million. So there's a very, very significant amount of government funding to the association for the fantastic work that they do. Discussions are ongoing, Deputy, with the disability team in CHO4 to all of these issues. It's also relevant to say that this organisation was one of the first 50 Section 39 organisations who did benefit from the first phase of pay restoration since 2019. As the Deputy will be aware, there has been an ask for pay restoration in line with FEMPI from the Section 39 organisations. The government started with 50, broadly based on size and some other criteria, and the association was in that first 50, and I know that that has made a big difference. More generally, I am very mindful of the very significant challenges faced by Section 39 organisations right across the country. They are funded by the government to provide vital services to communities in disability, mental health, older persons, palliative care, social inclusion and other areas. Energy and transport costs, as well as wider inflation pressures, are presenting specific issues, and to that end, government has created a €100 million fund for this winter, and organisations such as this will be recipients of funding from that allocation.
Thank you for the reply. And I appreciate that talks have been taking place, and that further talks are to take place, and I look forward to that. As Section 39 workers, they are not fully funded by the HSE, and this impacts on Kerry parents and friends as they are operating on an extremely tight budget, and their funds from fundraising is often used towards the cost of service provision. Pay parity is also an issue as well with the recruitment of new staff, as they cannot compete or offer the pay of Section 38 workers. They have 350 workers operating from 30 centres throughout Kerry, doing tremendous work, providing day service, residential, respite, home support, outreach. They go out with buses and pick up people with intellectual disabilities and bring them in for the day. They do tremendous work, Minister, and I feel they're not being appreciated. And Kerry Parents and Friends is committed to delivering these services and supports relating to the needs, wishes and choices of the people with these intellectual disabilities in their communities and in places like Killarney and all of East Kerry and all of Kerry indeed.
Thank you very much, Deputy. And can I assure the Deputy that on my behalf, on behalf of Minister Rabbitte as Minister for Disabilities, on behalf of the Government, the work that the association in Kerry does is acknowledged and it is hugely appreciated. Over €13 million of funding from government is provided to the association for the fantastic work that it does. On top of that, it was one of the first Section 39s in the country to benefit from increased funding for FEMPI reversal, or de facto FEMPI pay reversal. It was one of the first organisations. On top of that, they will be recipients of funding from the €100 million fund. Minister Rabbitte, within disabilities, is looking at about €60 to €65 million worth of that fund. And Deputy, exactly the kind of activities that you've quite rightly raised here, energy costs, transport costs, bringing children and adults from home to services. These are exactly the kind of activities that myself, Minister Rabbitte and Government want to support these organisations with through this energy crisis.
I suppose, Minister, I must ask the question. 60 million or so extra for disabilities has been announced in the budget. How is this going to be divvied out? Will it be used to bring parity of pay to these Section 39 workers, especially these Kerry parents and friends? As the staff, they have operated these services since 1978. And to see the individuals that work there, they're suffering from the increase of the cost of living like everyone else, and they are being left behind, Minister. There is a shortfall with the Kerry Parents and Friends funding, and I'm asking you to address that. I appreciate discussions have taken place, and that further discussions are to take place, but I'm also asking to ensure that these very valuable people get the €1,000 that have been paid to other staff in other sections of the HSE. They are definitely entitled without a shadow of a doubt. And the other question that I'm asking myself here, they do the very same work as 38 workers. Why is there a distinction between them? All over the world, people fight for equal rights, and I'm asking that the same rights be given to these Section 39 workers, and especially our Kerry Parents and Friends in Killarney.
Thank you very much, Deputy. With regards to the funding for this winter, there's a service level agreement in place between the association and the HSE that will be used with this Section 39 organisation and all of the others to determine their portion of that money. It's a very significant amount of money, 60 to 65 million just for the disability sector. And broadly, they will be able to use that money as they see fit to deal with energy costs. Of course, there will be guidance around that, but that's the mechanism, and that's being worked through at the moment. With regard to the special recognition payment, I have had very intensive engagement with the HSC, and they are mobilising to fast-track the payment to the Section 39 workers. Now, it may be the case that some of the workers, for example, those working in the residential services, would get it because they're covered by the recognition payment. So there are very clear guidelines in place for who gets that, and everyone who meets those guidelines, I've asked the HSE to fast-track those payments now.